Eagle 95.1 WUPN Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashmun Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game!
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend, Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend, and I'll do what I must. No, I won't give in, oh so glorious. Until the end,
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashmun Street on this Monday night, December 10th, 2018. This is the 2-hour show, the first hour on the radio on Eagle 95.1 and online at radioeaglesioux.com, and the full 2-hour version, which includes the Sports Roundtable in Hour 2, is available at thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or if you're a YouTube person, just go to the Scott Nason channel. We have a full slate here at the Wicked Sister, but before we get to sports, let's talk about the Wicked Sisters Restaurant Week menu 2018. It's Restaurant Week in the Twin Saults all week long, and here at the Wicked Sister, you can choose a starter, entree, and dessert for just $22, available from 5 p.m. until close. Starters tonight include Thai peanut boneless wings, Southwest roasted sweet potatoes, or arancini. Entrees include shrimp, macaroni, and cheese, beer braised short ribs, chicken and waffles, and desserts. You can choose from salted caramel cheesecake, cookie dough egg rolls, or vanilla mouse with cranberry compote or compote. I'm not sure which one that is. Truman Capote, who knows? We'll be joined here around 6:15 by Jeff Hagan. He is one of the board members of a brand new program involving AAU volleyball here in the area. So we're going to talk about Jeff, about youth volleyball. And then around 6:30, we'll be talking Lake Superior State University track and field with their head coach, Rod Gallinger, who was downstate in Saginaw for a meet this week. And then around 6:45, we'll talk to Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, who will get us up to date on the Metro Detroit sports scene. We have a lot of local sports to cover in a short period of time, so let's get right to it here at the Wicked Sister, including girls and boys high school basketball from this past week. The girls' season tipped off on Monday. Munising topped Engadine 55-24. Mackinac City over Detour 48-32, and Pickford won their first game of the season on Monday, defeating Posen by the score of 61-45. Newberry, in a low-scoring game at home, defeats Manistee by the score of 25-22. Tuesday, the Soo High Blue Devils started their season in girls basketball and won their game at home by the score of 47-28 over the Alpena Wildcats. Ashton Bell had 10 points to lead the Blue Devils. Also in girls basketball from Tuesday, Cedarville over Hillman by the score of 48-13. Boys basketball from Tuesday, it was Detour improving to 2-1 with a 61-56 victory over Mackinac City, and Cedarville would fall to Gaylord in boys basketball on Tuesday, 71-56. Couple girls games on Wednesday. Pickford proves to 2-0 as they defeated Harbor Springs at home by the score of 58-47. Rudyard got their first win of the season in girls basketball as they won at Manistee by the score of 48-29. On Thursday, in a game you heard on Eagle 95.1 with our own Katie Wollan and Todd Olmstead, it was the Brimley Bays improving to 3-0 on the season as they ran past, and I mean ran past, the Engadine Eagles by the score of 104-70. Tristan Lyons, he had 28 points and 16 rebounds as the Bays improved to 3-0 on the season. And get this, they shot 40 of 59 from the field. That's pretty impressive. Matter of fact, that's very impressive. Dylan Carrick, he had 22 points for Brimley, while Andrew Blanchard added 29 for Engadine, who falls to 2-1 on the season. And the Brimley Bays are at home coming up here in about an hour or so, as they will be home to Mackinac City. The Soo High Blue Devil boys basketball team earned their first victory of the season on Thursday as they slugged out a 38-32 win over the Sheboygan Chiefs, as Rowan Warren scored 14 points to lead the Blue Devils, who are now 1-3 on the season, and they will be at Rudyard on Tuesday. Boys basketball continued on Thursday. Speaking of Rudyard, they won their first game over Newberry on Thursday in boys basketball by the score of 95-83. Paul Staker, big night for Paul, 35 points to lead the Bulldogs, while Blake Frisval had 20 in the debut of new head coach Jimmy Suggett, as Rudyard will host the Soo High Blue Devils on Tuesday, as I mentioned earlier, while Newberry will now 0-2 on the season. They will host St. Ignace also on Tuesday. Detour proves to 3-1 in boys basketball as the Pickford Panthers, they finally got on the court after an extended football season, and it was Detour over Pickford on Thursday at the Purple Palace in Pickford by the score of 50-40. Alex Richwine had 22 points for Detour, while Grant Fountain added 15. Nick Eddington had 16 to lead the Pickford Panthers. So Detour 3-1 on the season early on, but good start for them. They'll be home to Alanson on Wednesday, while Pickford, just the one game so far, is at Pelston tonight. Cedarville improves their record to 2-2 in boys basketball on Thursday as they top St. Ignace by the score of 70-46. The Trojans are hosting Boyne City tonight, while St. Ignace, now 0-3, is at Newberry on Tuesday. In girls basketball Friday night, the Brimley Bays, under their new head coach Matt Bathy, started their season off successfully as they defeat Engadine by the score of 46-29, as the Brimley Bays 1-0 on the season in girls basketball are at Mackinac City tonight, while Engadine 0-2. They host Manistee tomorrow night. Girls basketball from Friday, Pickford improves to 3-0 on the season as they knock off Detour by the score of 63-30. The Panthers will host a very tough St. Ignace team on Friday, while Detour, now 0-2, is at Alanson on Tuesday. Rudyard, they won a Straits Area Conference and EUP Conference game on Friday night at home. Rather, at Newberry, I should say, as they earn a 54-51 win over Newberry. St. Ignace, well, we know they're good always in girls basketball, and they started their season on Friday night with a winning game as they defeat Cedarville by the score of 73-24. The Saints are at Newberry on Tuesday, while Cedarville, now 1-1 in girls basketball, they're going to host Boyne City on Tuesday. Soo High improves to 2-0 in girls basketball on Friday night as they earn a 61-20 win at Sheboygan. Ashton Bell had 14 points to lead the Blue Devils. Now the Blue Devils will be at Rudyard on Wednesday. And one game on Saturday in high school basketball. Good start for the Rudyard Bulldogs under their head coach Carlos Molina. They're 3-0 on the season as they defeated Frankfort by the score of 56-41. The Lady Bulldogs will be at home twice this week, taking on Soo High on Wednesday and Brimley on Friday. Moving on to Laker basketball. Both teams were home this weekend for the men and the women. And on Thursday, the women fell to Saginaw Valley by the score of 73-67. Lexi Cohn led the Lakers with 17 points. And Saginaw Valley, they were led by Abby Duffy, who had 41 points on the night. Big night for her as the Lakers lose their home opener in Gliac play. The Laker men, a little better success as they defeated Saginaw Valley State on Thursday by the score of 70-62 as junior guard Malik Adams. He scored 13 of his game-high 23 points in the first half, while Rog Stein added 16 points for the Lakers. Had a chance to see the boys game that night. Had a chance to see both games on Saturday at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium. And, well, Northwood came into town and swept the Lakers. First, the women fell by the score of 69-47 as Lexi Cohn scored 18 points, but it was a big second half and fourth quarter for Northwood as they pulled away from the Laker women, who are now 3-6 on the season, 0-4 in GLIAC play. They'll be back at home Friday at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium against Algoma. That one's scheduled for 1 o'clock. The Northwood men also would win on Saturday against the Lakers by the score of 91-83. Rog Stein, he had a career-high 27 points for the Lakers, but it wasn't enough as the Laker men now 4-4 on the season, and they'll be home to Algoma this Friday at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium. Moving on to hockey. Lots of hockey in the area, including the Soo High Blue Devils, as the Blue Devils won a pair of games this weekend at the Big Bear Arena. On Friday night, Keldon Casey scored the game-winning goal as the Blue Devils defeated Escanaba by the score of 3-2, and they would also win on Saturday afternoon by the score of 4-2, also against the Escanaba Eskimos. So Soo High Blue Devil hockey 4-2-1 on the season. Good start. They're going to compete in the D3 Showcase in Gaylord starting on Friday afternoon at 2. Where they will take on Grand Rapids Catholic Central, and Saturday at 6 against Detroit Country Day. Those games and all home and road games can be heard right here on Eagle 95.1 and online at EagleRadioSoo.com with our own Tim Ellis. Sioux Eagles were in action this weekend, starting on Friday night at the Puller Stadium as the Eagles defeated the Sioux Thunderbirds for the first time all season, as Ryan Dack's goal early in the second period was the winner, as the Eagles defeated the Thunderbirds by the score of 3-2 on Friday night. However, the T-Birds would return the favor on Saturday, defeating the Eagles at the John Rhodes Community Center by the score of 5-2. So the Sioux Eagles in action tonight, as a matter of fact, as they will take on Blind River. That one starts at 7:30. The Thunderbirds had one more game this weekend, and they would lose a 1-0 shootout loss to the Rayside Balfour Canadians, but the Thunderbirds still having a very good season at 23-6-0-1, and they will host French River on Friday and Rayside on Saturday. The Eagles again in action tonight at Blind River, but they'll be at home this weekend, Friday against Elliott Lake, and Saturday against French River. The Sioux Greyhounds in action this weekend at home. 3 games starting on Wednesday. They defeated Flint by the score of 7-2. Then the Greyhounds would also win Friday night at the Memorial Gardens by the score of 4-3 over the Guelph Storm, but they would lose yesterday afternoon as they were topped by the Barrie Colts by the score of 4-2. Keegan Haudashell scored his 25th goal of the season, while former Sioux Thunderbird Robert Calisti scored his first for the Sioux Greyhounds, who are in first place in the West Division, 8 points in front of Saginaw, 1 point behind London for the best record in the Western Conference. And the Greyhounds are on the road this weekend at Mississauga on Friday, and then a rematch of the OHL Championship from last season, Saturday at Hamilton. And finally, in this first segment, let's talk Laker hockey. Big weekend up north for the Hockey Lakers as they sweep Alaska, starting on Friday night as they defeated the Nanooks by the score of 4-1. Diego Cuglietta had a pair of goals for the Lakers on Friday, and the Lakers would get a sweep on Saturday as Braden Gelsinger had a hat trick as the Lakers defeat Alaska by the score of 5-2. So the Lakers now 4th place in the WCHA with a record of 9-6-1, 6-5-1 in the WCHA. They're going to take the weekend off, and well, they're at least from conference play, as they will be in Plymouth on December 16th, taking on the U.S. Under-18 men's national team. So that is your local sports roundup. And we're going to take our first break here on the game. When we come back, we're going to talk about a new program which has started this year for those that are interested in playing volleyball. We're going to talk to one of their board members, Jeff Hagan, who is here at the Wicked Sister to talk about this new program and some of the things they have in store for local athletes that want to play volleyball. That's coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on this Monday night, just 2 weeks and a day before Christmas, if you can believe that. And the Wicked Sister can book your holiday party. Yes, it's a little bit late, but they might be able to fit you in. Just talk to Kathy, Scott, or any of the staff at the Wicked Sister, and they will hook you up. We'll be talking Lake Superior State University track and field coming up at the bottom of the hour with their head coach, Rod Gallinger. And then we'll be talking Detroit sports with Butch Davis from Butch On Sports around 6:45. But we're here at the Wicked Sister with our next guest, and this is somebody I've known for, over 10 years. We used to work together in a former life, if you will, and our good friend Jeff Hagan joining us here at the Wicked Sister to talk about a brand new program, the Superior Storm Volleyball Club. Jeff, first of all, thanks for joining us here at the Wicked Sister.
Sure, thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate you taking the time to squeeze me in.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, Jeff, and we've always talked sports since we've known each other, and but you're here specifically to talk about volleyball, as you are the vice president of the board of directors for the newly formed Superior Storm Volleyball Club. Now, this is comprised of around 45 girls right now between the ages of 13, 14, and 15. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you to tell us about just this program, how you came about being involved, and some of the things you're going to be having to start. But let's just start with, why did this program evolve, or what are some of the reasons behind giving girls another chance to play volleyball?
Yeah, so what we looked at was kind of starting to wind down on the volleyball season for middle school volleyball at JKL Wadding, which is where my daughter and a few of the other girls played. And Rudyard's in that league too, and our season ended at the end of September, so we started looking at how can we give the girls additional court time. We want to get them ready for that high school tryouts. Freshman year is going to be right around the corner. Sioux Schools plays a little bit longer, so Andrea Nahmeyer, have to give her tons of credit. It was kind of her brainchild, like how can we extend the court time. She started looking into AAU, what the different levels and things are, and so we decided to go with the club level, which is the lowest level. You're restricted from using AAU's name on some of the materials and everything, but it's a club level.
Sure.
It gets our foot in the door. So we're basically starting this from the ground up. There was nothing. We're building it from scratch. So there's so much more that goes into it than you think of. We're like, okay, well, yeah, let's do club volleyball. So it came together really quickly, I would say the end of September into early mid-October, trying to get coaches squared away and things like that, and doing tryouts for teams, and tried to do word of mouth at first, and pretty much filled, I think a couple of teams, and then we were just overwhelmed by U13 and U14. We had over 20 kids try out for each team.
Wow.
So really validated, I think, why you want to do something like that there was a lot of interest. There was a ton of interest.
Well, and you see, we've had some successful volleyball programs around the area in the Sioux, Brimley, Rudyard, just to name a few, and it's a sport. that when you go and watch a match, and it's a sport I never really followed until I got in a previous position being an athletic director, and just seeing the hard work that goes in to a sport like this, and to start it at an earlier level to give more options. I mean, it's got to be a good thing, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I would agree. I think anything we can do to raise the level of competition, get a really quality program going, is going to help our high school programs out. I mean, I believe that without a doubt.
One of the things, obviously, starting a program, Jeff, and we talked about a little bit before we went on the air, is, there are costs. There are lots of costs, and I know you and the board are doing some fundraising activities coming up here over the next weeks and months. What are some of those fundraising activities that are out there that you're doing that to help pay for this program?
Yep, so a big one that we have coming up is this Saturday. We are doing a can and bottle drive at CSB, Central Savings Bank.
I got a bunch in my garage. Yep. I'll be dropping
Downtown
them off.
Sioux.
Yep.
You can drop them off right there at the bank at 1:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
We'll be there. Parents will be on site. Players will be on site collecting, doing that type of thing. We did set up a sponsorship kind of level package for businesses if you want to participate and be a sponsor of Superior Storm. So we've got 3 levels of sponsorship. We've got a spike level, which is a $500 minimum. And then we've got the set level, which is a $250 minimum. And then you've got the bump level, which is $100. And then we've got a dig level, which is any sponsorship that anybody would be willing to give us. It gets a little tricky doing sponsorships because we aren't hosting any tournaments on our own. We're going to be traveling to tournaments. So we're going to try and do a lot of Facebook promotions, Facebook shout-outs, kids visiting businesses to do some promos on site with businesses. You'll get your logo on practice shirts and some other things like that. So we had to get a little bit creative, but this is year 1. So we're starting from scratch and really trying to build the foundation for the club moving forward.
Jeff Hagan joining us on the game, Vice President of the newly formed Superior Storm Volleyball Club, comprised of around 45 girls, ages 13, 14, and 15. Jeff, talking about this newly formed board, who are some of the people involved in making this happen? It's not just you as much as you can do a lot of things, but give us an idea of some of the others that have helped establish this program.
Yep, so the board right now consists of Andrea Donmeyer, Katie Mayer, Jill Romano, Emily Grenfell, Jacole Casey, Jamie Bro, and Aaron Gentoff. Okay. So there's 8 dedicated board members. We've got 6 coaches, I think, involved right now. 4 Lake State volleyball players.
Wow.
Who have agreed to help coach a couple of the teams, and then 2 middle school coaches who are coaching the 14U team. So, yeah, it's a dedicated crew of people, and I've been really impressed with the parents. The parents have totally helped out and with some of the sponsorships and some of the fundraising activities. So, I think everybody's in this for the long haul, so that's great.
Well, and to get support from Lake Superior State University, not just physically as far as a location to have these matches, but to get support from, I believe, going into his 3rd year this next season, head coach Dave Schmidlin, who is trying to grow that program and has made some steps, slowly but surely. But, to get involved locally with some players, and, that's a big thing for this program, to have a Division II college program that, is really helping you out.
Yeah, it's really huge. Having Coach Schmidlin as our technical advisor really helps us. We're not all volleyball experts on the board. We don't know all the ins and outs of what the considerations are, and he does, and he's been there every step of the way to help kind of just be our technical advisor and guide us down the right path. So, but yeah, I mean, anything he can do to help start building that pipeline in the Eastern EP of competitive volleyball is going to benefit his program.
Looking at, this year's club level program, talking about some of the places that you're going to play and some of the tournaments. Now, you're not going to host any, but do you have your schedule set as far as places you're going to play, or is that still something that you're developing?
Yeah, I would say it's still not 100% set. I think we're definitely looking at tournaments downstate, Saginaw, Grand Rapids, possibly Detroit, but we're still working on setting those schedules, figuring out what weekends work for everybody, because we were a little bit late to the game this year in terms of travel basketball is already going on. There's some other commitments that were going on. So we're trying to, be a little bit flexible, but knowing that moving forward the club's going to be here and, we'll have to just set our schedule and people try and hopefully work around us like we're doing this year. But, yeah, so we're looking to do some smaller one-day tournaments in northern lower Michigan. So places like Pellston, Petoskey, Gaylord, places like that where it's just a one-day trip and then do some bigger ones later in the spring. So
Jeff Hagan joining us here at the Wicked Sister from the Superior Storm Volleyball Club. So, Jeff, if there's somebody listening tonight that maybe has a youngster, around those ages, 13, 14, 15, maybe a 11 and 12-year-old that, has an interest in volleyball, what do they need to do as far as to be a part of this program? Maybe not this year, but in the future.
Right.
Are there certain steps, places they can go to find information and things they need to do?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page. Just look us up on Facebook, Superior Storm on Facebook.
Okay.
And then we do have an email account. I believe it's superiorstormvb@gmail.com.
Okay.
But, if you look us up on Facebook, you can send us messages on there. You can post on there. We'll definitely get you the right, get your contact information will be the first step, in developing that pipeline for the future years. So, if you have a child that's interested that would be in like the 13U for next year, or 14U or 15U, definitely get a hold of us, and we'll start building that contact list.
Currently, my full-time job, I'm starting a brand new program here, and one of the things I have to do, is tasked with this week, is putting together a board packet for our board of directors. Obviously, you're part of the board of directors, but Jeff, a couple more questions before we let you go. This being the first year, where do you see this program going in the future? Maybe not 5 years from now, but a couple years from now. What are some of the things that you and the board are looking at as far as to get this, Superior Storm program? I think it's a great idea. I mean, you see it in AAU basketball, how much that helps certain basketball players, and volleyball is one where a lot of people play volleyball. Where do you see this program heading over the next few years?
Well, it's, we haven't done a lot of goal setting as a board. I think we're surviving day to day.
Absolutely, as am I.
Trying to keep our head above water a little bit. But, I guess just me talking personally, not, so much on behalf of the board, but really move up from, really get a solid club level base going, and then look at what the opportunities would be to move up from there. I mean, I definitely think one of the goals of the board would be, in the club, would be to host a tournament next year.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely interested in that. A lot of the northern lower clubs want to come up here. They want to play at Lake State. It's a good venue for them to get in front of a Division II coach, like you said,
and potentially get a scholarship down the road.
Yeah. So I think a short term, definitely look at hosting a tournament next year. Beyond that, we haven't set too many long term goals at this point. I think we're trying to just survive and take one step at a time. So
one more time, Jeff, where can people find more information about the Superior Storm Volleyball Club?
Yep, so just look us up on Facebook under Superior Storm Volleyball. If you just go in the search bar and search that, you'll come to our page. Can't miss it. It's a nice blue logo. Try to keep it specific to the UP. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Final question, not volleyball related. I know you are a big NFL fan. Steelers, what the heck happened yesterday?
I think someone put a banana out there. If possible, he didn't see it. I don't know. I have a lot of questions.
Well, as a Lions fan, trust me, I have no sympathy for losses there. Lions win when they should and lose when they should.
They can't even lose right.
No, they can't. Jeff, thanks for coming in on the game. And again, later on this season or anytime you want to have anything get out, that can drive one more time, location, date, and times.
Yep, so location is Central Savings Bank downtown on Bingham, and it'll be this Saturday, December 15th from 1:30 to 3:30.
Perfect. I will be there dropping off a bunch of cans.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on, Scott.
Hey, great catching up, Jeff, and we'll talk to you another time here on the game.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll be back talking Lake Superior State University track and field coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm naan bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashmun Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course? You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum, right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a Northern thing.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashmun Street on this Monday night, and all week long in Sault Ste. Marie, it is Restaurant Week 2018. The Wicked Sister is part of that extravaganza from now until Friday from 5 o'clock until close. You can get a starter, entree, and dessert at the Wicked Sister for just $22. Starters tonight include Thai peanut boneless wings, Southwest roasted sweet potatoes, and arancini. Entrees include shrimp, macaroni, and cheese, beer braised short ribs, and chicken and waffles, and desserts. Salted caramel cheesecake along with cookie dough, egg rolls, or vanilla mousse and cranberry capote or compote. Still trying to figure out that word. We'll be joined here in the next segment by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports. Butch will give us up to date on the Metro Detroit sports scene. We're up to date right now as far as local sports. I want to thank Jeff Hagan for joining us from the new Superior Storm Volleyball Club and joining us here at the Wicked Sister. Eagle 95.1's own Katie Wollan. Katie, thanks for joining us here at the Wicked Sister.
Happy to be here, Scott.
Well, we are happy to have you. How are you tonight?
I'm actually pretty good. I just received good news, but I will save that for the second hour.
Oh, my goodness. So much tension I can't take. And we're joined by our next guest. He is the head coach of the Lake Superior State University men's and women's cross country and track and field teams, Rob Gallinger, joining us here at the Wicked Sister. It's been a while, Rob. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Well, it's good to have you as, the track and field season got underway this weekend at the Saginaw Valley State University Holiday Open as Roger Wilford, he recorded a NCAA Division II provisional qualifier in the heptathlon, and Rebecca Lathrop won the 800-meter race as the Lake Superior State men's and women's track and field teams started their season on Friday and Saturday. Tell us a little bit about those two individuals and just how things went in general.
Well, Roger's heptathlon, that's 7 events over the course of 2 days.
Now, what are those events?
So his first day, he started off with the 60-meter dash, went on to long jump, then shot put, finishing the day with high jump. And then second day, so Saturday, started off with 60-meter hurdles, moving on to pole vault, and then finishing off with the 1,000-meter.
That's a lot of stuff. I mean, do you just have like one individual that does that, or do you have several that do all those events?
Well, it depends on the makeup of the team.
Okay.
Right now, it's just Roger. In the past, I know there's been several heptathletes, multis, going at the same time. It depends on what the, again, makeup of the team
Sure.
is. So for something like conference scoring, if we're heading into the indoor conference and we know that there's going to be points available there, we have somebody enter into that. But generally, that is one of those events where it takes a very, in this case, diverse skill set in order to make it work. But Roger, being the athlete that he is, strong enough, fast enough, he makes it all work. And with that NCAA Provo mark, he's shown that he's ready to take that next step this year.
I would say so. Tell us about just the individuals that performed this weekend and just the makeup of both the men's and women's team. Obviously, cross-country season is now over. You had some success there. We'll get to that in a moment. But just give us a snapshot of this year's Laker men's and women's track and field teams.
All right. Well, we'll stay on the men's side for a second here. We're looking, obviously, with Roger. He's going to be kind of that one that we hope hits a mark, as well as David Mitter. He's going to be looking to qualify in either the 5K or the 3K indoors. And then currently our men's 4x4 team is looking quite strong. We're hoping to have a very near qualifying performance from them at some point, and then a hopefully school record as well. On the women's side, as you said, Rebecca, she ran well coming off of that cross-country season. Lydia Hymanen was right behind her in third for that 800 race. We're expecting both of them to continue on those strong performances throughout the indoor season, hopefully taking them into outdoor season as well. Also on the women's side, we have Ashley Mullings competing in long jump. She is looking towards that NCAA mark as well. Hopefully getting a little bit closer to that. We had a solid first meet from her. We learned a few things. She ended up getting second overall, but hopefully in these future meets we're looking to get a little bit higher up with her.
And Katie, I believe you two know each other. You have a question for Rob.
Oh, yes. Hi, Coach. You kind of touched on it with Scott just now. It's more of a follow-up question I have for you. So there's, about 30-plus events, I believe, in track and field. But I just want to know, what event are you personally most excited for in terms of the potential you see in your athletes or the skills that they already have? And I know you're a bit biased because you just kind of mentioned jumps, and I know that you were a jumper at Lake State, and that's kind of your expertise is the jumping events. So if you could maybe veer away from that and share maybe a couple athletes other than the ones that maybe that you just mentioned that are competing, and do you think that will have a big impact on this year's team?
Well, outside of jumps, we're looking very strong in the mid-distance event group, 400, 800, 1500 meter, mile indoor. For the guys' side, I'm hoping to see strong performances out of Parker Wingard, Peter Shambaugh, and a few others that will be looking towards that, again, 4x4 team. On the women's side, obviously, Becca, Lydia, and then we're hoping for some success on their 4x4 team as well.
Rob Gallinger joining us on the game. Rob, looking at your schedule, I actually haven't had a chance to look at your schedule. What are your upcoming meets, and when, if at all, will you be at home over the next little bit?
So we're not going to be at home at any point.
Right.
For the indoor season, we're looking at bouncing between Saginaw and Grand Valley.
Okay.
So conference will be held at Saginaw, so we're trying to get in a few meets there, get everybody comfortable, getting them ready for that, which is going to be kind of our big meet as a team. And then Grand Valley, obviously, with the facility they have, it's always nice to go in and get some run there with the best of Division II and the GLIAC.
Who are some of the individuals helping you out? I know it was kind of a one-man show there for a while, but you've added some assistant coaches. Who are some of the people that are helping you out this track and field season?
So right now, Danny Filipek and Tony Filipek have been an amazing addition to our staff.
A lot of energy, those two.
Extremely, yes. They definitely counteract what I bring to the table.
Wasn't going there, but they got a lot of energy, high energy.
For sure, but that energy is great for the team. It's allowing people to really express themselves. The strength that we have, again, through that mid-distance event group, through the distance event group, Danny and Tony are bringing out the best in them. We saw that through cross-country, and they've done such an amazing job so far of allowing me to kind of continue on with what I wanted to do with the team last year. So we have a vision, we're working towards it, and for right now, our goal is to improve every day. And then long-term, obviously, the team is going to grow both in size and quality, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these two bring long-term. Short-term has been fantastic.
Well, and going back to the cross-country, Rob, Kate and I talked about it last week, having an individual go to nationals there, and David Mitter, first time I think since 1993. You're out of high school for this guy, I might add, but a very successful season for the Laker cross-country teams, a program that's definitely building itself, and credit to you and the new coaches for making that happen, and most importantly, the athletes.
Absolutely. David came into the season looking to get a better mark a better placing in the conference and in the region. He ran the regional race last year. It's kind of a big deal because with the conference race, it's 8 kilometers. But then once you get into the regional race, it bumps up to 10 kilometers, which is about 6.2 miles or so. And last year, David struggled with that a little bit. He had a good showing, top half of the region, but he didn't want to settle for that this year. He went out, ran the 10K, ended up getting 8th overall in the region, which is a ridiculous improvement. I don't know of anyone that's been able to do that before.
No, it's amazing.
So seeing him make that big stride has really brought along the team with him as well. So they see David get better, David sees them getting better, and it's the cycle of success that we really want to harness and have working for us going forward. So like you said, since 1993, we're looking to make this a more regular thing, hopefully with David as an individual and with the men's and women's teams together as a whole.
Rob Gallinger joining us on the game. Rob, best of luck this track and field season, and we look forward to having you again in here, maybe towards the spring portion of the season. Anything else you wanted to mention before we let you go?
No, thanks for having me. Just to shout out to the athletic department as a whole. We're doing some great things this year, and it's really nice to see success from all sides.
It really is. Rob, thanks for joining us here on the game.
All right, thanks, Scott.
All right,
Thank
we'll be
you, Katie.
back. Yeah, thank you, Katie and Robin. We'll be back with Butch Davis from Butch On Sports up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for you and your family. Start off with some wicked appetizers like the crab dip, served with soft pretzel bites and warm non-bread strips, and delicious boneless chicken wings that are antibiotic and hormone-free with 5 choices of sauces. Try the barbecue pulled pork sandwich or the #1 selling drunken cow burger and the chicken caprese flatbread. Check out the Wicked Sister gluten-free menu and catering. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashmun Street, 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashmun Street, our broadcast engineer. Back in the Eagle 95.1 studios is Dallas Miller. I want to thank all our guests, including Jeff Hagan from the brand new Superior Storm Volleyball Club and Rob Gallinger from the Lake Superior State University track and field program. We'll be joined once again by Katie Wollan in Hour 2 of the game. Hour 2 is available online, as I mentioned, thegamesportshow.com, or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. We'll be expected to be joined by Dave McKegg, possibly E.J. Russell, and we know we'll be joined by this gentleman and our next guest. His name is Butch Davis, who joins us each and every week here at the Wicked Sister, as Butch has his own radio show, Butch On Sports, which you can find online on his podcast page, simply Butch2, that's TOO.podomatic.com, or thegamesportshow.com, as Butch gives us a first-hand account of everything going on in the Metro Detroit sports world. Butch, how you doing on this Monday night, my friend?
Well, just trying to stay warm, my friends, just trying to stay warm.
We are as well, Butch, and nothing will keep you warmer than Detroit Lions football winning games that they really have no reason to win. We'll talk about that right now, Butch. Let's start with the Lions, as they kept their very, very, very slim playoff hopes alive on Sunday afternoon in Glendale, Arizona. But they slid down the draft board for 2019 and earning a 17-3 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Darius Slay had a pick six for what was the winning score. Otherwise, in my opinion, uninspiring games. The Lions improved to 5-8 on the season, still have very, 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 very slight playoff hopes alive. They will be at 4-9 Buffalo on Sunday. Butch, I know you got a lot to say about the Detroit Lions. I will give you the floor. They seem to win games that they shouldn't, and they can't win the games that they should. Your thoughts?
That's like saying Gumby just got shot here, man. I don't know what to say here. Boy, you give them credit where I don't know. Well, the Lions, I thought of the game yesterday as a win for 2 weeks in a row now. They had played halfway good defense. We'll say lacking a quarter, which was last week when they played the Rams in the fourth quarter. That's when everything just went haywire. But from that point on, and before that, the Lions been playing pretty good doggone defense there. Watching that game, everything went right for him. Matt Prater kicking the field goal, Slate racing 67 yards with the interception. And this is the part that really, it kind of burns you up, but you're very happy for. We've been talking about Zach Zenner for 3 years. It's really, right now, truly, the Detroit Lions never played. They always had him on special teams. He's been hurt for whatever reason. I swear that he shouldn't have been hurt on special teams when this man has the ability to follow blockers and get yards the way he's been getting them. Every single year we've talked about him, especially during preseason, the last two. This year, some unfortunately came about, but the Lions re-signed him. And he showed why to me, he's the best back Detroit Lions got. In a quarter, you got to see him live in person, just show his wares. And he was fantastic from the 50-yard line all the way down to the end zone. That's what I'm talking about. And I think Detroit management and staff now has to look deep because they're going to lose a lot of players this year. But they got to find a foundation in which that offense has to grow here. And I don't know if James Robert Cooter is going to have a job. Well, we don't know he's going to have to change the style. But, again, a win's a win, however you take it. We see some things that we thought we would see 3 or 4 years ago, but now they're using it, and it's successful. And you couldn't be happy for more than Zach Zenner in this particular game, but the Lions right now, yes, playoff hopes are alive, but I'm saying they're out.
I think reality says they're out, Butch. Mathematically, they still have a chance, but they'd have to have a lot of things go right. First of all, they got to win their last 3 games, which is probably debatable, but the Lions playing for the draft. But, hey, a good Sunday in Glendale against a pretty rough Arizona team. Well, Butch, we were lauding the Pistons quite a lot on Monday night. Fresh off that victory against Golden State, we were feeling pretty good about the Pistons, and, well, they did not have a good week at all. As a matter of fact, they lost all 4 games they played this past week, including a week ago tonight against Oklahoma City. They also lost at home to Philadelphia. a road game to Milwaukee. And then last night, the Pelicans came into town, and Drew Holiday. Who? Drew Holiday scored 37 points, leading the Pelicans to a 116-108 win over the Pistons. So the Pistons now losers of 4 in a row, 13-11 overall, 6th in the East. And it doesn't get any easier for them. They're at Philly tonight, minus Blake Griffin, who is out because of rest. And they'll be at Charlotte on Wednesday and host Boston on Saturday. Butch, the Pistons, boy, you see that Golden State game and you think this team's come a long way, and then they've taken a couple steps back. Your thoughts on what you've seen?
I can't get all excited about it. You can't get excited about 4 losses in a row, okay? That's just definitely for sure. Right. But the effort right now the Pistons are putting out there, the veteran from Reggie Jackson's effort, I'll play when I feel like it. That's what it looks like to me. Blake Griffin has done a yeoman job, okay, with the Pistons this year. I just don't think, myself personally, the philosophy of how this team is going to go about its merry way in winning consistently in the league is not there yet there. They have to play defense. They're not doing that on a consistent manner. Their priorities for three-point shooting, that should be flushed down the toilet there. You can't hit a two-pointer. How can you sit up there and successfully talk about a three-pointer? Just the priority on just shots alone, especially from the perimeter, is bad. And right now, the Pistons are playing pretty good ball inside, okay, in the paint, but in the big moments in the second, third, fourth quarter, you can't run that same game on good old-fashioned teams that are going to take you out of there, especially if they have good perimeter shooters.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch, let's move on to a team that I think has played very inspired and spirited hockey over the past couple weeks, starting a couple weeks ago in a win at Boston. They would lose to Colorado a week ago Sunday, and then, they had a pretty good week. They would lose to Tampa Bay, this being the Detroit Red Wings. They would get a point in that one on Tuesday. And then they got a big win in Toronto. They fall down, or they get up 4-1. They blow the lead, but then they win in overtime. And then losing a tough one Saturday night to the New York Islanders by the score of 3-2. The Wings right now, 500, 13-4, sixth in the Atlantic. They're hosting Los Angeles here in a matter of minutes tonight at the Little Caesars Arena. They'll be at Washington on Tuesday, host Ottawa on Friday before traveling to the Islanders on Saturday. So a pretty busy stretch, Butch, but I want your thoughts on the Wings and just a team that really seems to be going out there and laying it all on the line and playing hard. These young kids, in my opinion, are playing hard for Coach Jeff Blashill. This is becoming a fun team to watch. Your thoughts?
It's a fun team to watch here, but I think Jeff Blashill on Saturday night, when the Red Wings have a 2-0 lead, they lose the game in the third period by a goal by Martin there. Really took some sting into their particular practices, I'm quite sure. And hopefully tonight when they play the Kings, which is not a sloppy team at all, they have the capability to make anybody look just scary, okay? I don't think he was happy with it. For 2 games down the road, Red Wings had significant leads against Toronto and both, yes, indeed, the Islanders, and lost them both here. And right now, I think Blashill is concerned. I would not be mindless to find out that maybe we'll get a couple more kids from Grand Rapids coming down. The Cromwell incident, I have not heard yet if he's going to get really spanked or unspanked there. I'm hopefully he doesn't get spanked. What I saw was a player with his head down go right into the shoulder of a player, and he took the worst end of it by his head being down and going full speed. Right, and that's nothing that Cromwell initiated. It's just the time and place of the incident there made it look worse than what it was. Yes, and he did draw some blood in there, so we'll see how the NHL, hopefully they will not penalize Cromwell for that there. But again, we can't say that effort's not there. We said the intensity of the third quarter when you got to play better defense and do maybe some sacrificing there and keeping things at bay, especially for your goaltender, and not letting people lose. That's something the Red Wings right now are very, very conscious of at this moment.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch will join us in hour 2 along with Katie Wollan here at the Wicked Sister and Dave McKeag from Sault, Ontario. Butch, we talked a lot about high school basketball starting. The girls started last week. The boys have been going for a couple weeks. We covered all what's going on in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. What's going on in your neck of the woods? Obviously, very early portions of the season, but hey, the winter sports season is in full gear. What are some of the things that you've seen and some of the things you're watching?
Well, you see a lot of teams right now allowing a lot of players who probably will not play during the season or play a significant amount of time during the season, get their tryouts there. And again, the players it's wild and weird at its best right now. And some of the better teams that are down here in Southeast Michigan, especially in the Downriver League that I more or less went over this weekend there, it's still going to be wild and woolly. And again, some of the teams that are expected to win, they are winning, but again, not by the margin that maybe they want to. So again, we're going to see some adjustments along the way. Allen Park is a team right now I'm looking at. Some other teams, River Rouge, of course. Ecourse is a team that many are expecting to play very, very good basketball there. On the other side of the tilt, we got Cass Tech, also Martin Luther King, and also Detroit Western right now on this neck of the woods here, making good showing so far early here. So again, the tournaments are going to be coming in for Christmas. They're going to play a whole heck of a lot of basketball, probably all this week. They'll get a week off. Then the tournaments will arrive, and then after the first of the year, we'll get league play. So again, they're getting cranked up.
Butch, a couple teams from this area are coming down your way. You talked about them, this team, the Lake Superior State University Laker hockey team, who will be involved in the Great Lakes Invitational going on at Little Caesars Arena. You talked about them on your show. The Lakers will take on Michigan State, Michigan Tech, and Michigan will be part of that just before New Year's. And the St. Ignace Saints girls basketball team, under their head coach Doreen Ingalls, who I know you know, Butch, they're going to be down there around the Christmas time or right after Christmas. I believe one of the games is against Detroit Edison, and I had a chance to see Doreen Saturday at the Lake Superior State University Laker basketball team, always a powerhouse lineup. So we're going to have a couple local teams, Butch, coming your way for the holidays. Hopefully you'll get a chance to check out some of that action.
Try to check Miss Ingalls. They're playing a very formidable team in Detroit Edison. Always a good girls basketball team. Go very deep in the playoffs the last 3 years. So, again, we talk about St. Ignace. What can you say about that lady there? Been around, did it all. And,
You're right.
And have one more courteous personalities, and I'm being mild with that there.
Doug and Doreen are great.
A person. Yes, she is. Yes, she is indeed. So hopefully I will get more information on the time and the place of that particular going down there and see her and let her know. Scott Nason, hopefully she get a good Christmas gift here.
I think so. Butch, we got a couple minutes left before we end the hour on the radio. Anything else you wanted to bring up here as far as Detroit sports, Michigan sports, or local sports before we head off to hour 2 in the roundtable?
Well, we haven't talked about it yet, but the winter meetings are started here in Las Vegas, Nevada there for Major League Baseball. So expect the next 3 or 4 days for some hot deals to be sent out. The hottest conversation right now is Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians. Don't ask me why they're going after or someone wants to get rid of Corey Kluber. Something's in the kitty there, but a trade talk has been talked about, especially with this particular player. Not Manny Machado, not Harper yet, but this seems to be the most hottest topic right now in the Wheeler meetings. Corey Kluber there, and a lot of teams are interested in this guy there. So don't be surprised that we don't hear some surprises or some huge swings. Tigers, no information as of yet, but doesn't mean that they don't have something up there in mind.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch will continue to be with us in hour 2 of the round table online at thegamesportshow.com. Butch, hang tight. We'll get back to you and the round table here in a few minutes. Thanks for joining us on the radio in hour 1, sir.
All righty.
All right, that's going to do it here from the Wicked Sister on Ashmun Street for our radio broadcast on Eagle 95.1. Want to thank all our guests, including Jeff Hagan from the Superior Storm Volleyball Club and Rob Gallinger from the Lake Superior State University Track and Field program, along with cross country. Katie Wollan will be joining us in hour 2. Want to thank our broadcast engineer, Dallas Miller, and each and every one of you for tuning in. Don't forget, we'll have Brimley Bays basketball Thursday night, boys basketball from Brimley as the Bays will take on the Rudyard Bulldogs. Then we'll have Sioux High hockey and Brimley Bays basketball on Friday, Sioux High hockey on Saturday. Lots of local sports, and we'll keep you covered here on the Eagle and on the game. That's going to do it here on hour 1 for our radio listeners. For those that are listening on the Eagle, we'll get back to classic hits at random. And for those that are online and listening to the podcast of the game, stay tuned for hour 2 of the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. And who's gonna make it?
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason here at the Wicked Sister for hour 2 of the game. This is the portion of the roundtable portion of the show where we banter about a bunch of topics in the world of sports. We're joined once again by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports Online. We'll be joined here in about 15 minutes by Dave McKeag from Sioux, Ontario. Unfortunately, E.J. Russell could not join us as he is a little bit under the weather. We're joined here at the Wicked Sister once again by Eagle 95.1's own Katie Wollan. Katie, thanks for rejoining Butch and I for the roundtable.
I'm excited to talk sports with you and Butch tonight, Scott.
Well, Katie, we're going to give you first topic. Butch,
Yes.
I'll give you first crack at Katie's topic as Katie is itching to talk sports. So, Katie Wollan, what would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable, ma'am?
Okay, Scott and Butch, so I saw a video that went viral in the NBA. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but it happened this past week, and it was the Brooklyn Nets game. And there was a coach, I believe it was an assistant of some sorts, and he was in the row behind the players' bench coaching, but was standing up right in front of a few rows of those of the floor seats. And a fan tapped him to sit down during that game, and security kind of spoke quickly to that fan, and then the coach didn't seem very happy, but seemed to sit down right away. But my question to you guys is from an outside perspective, or even if you were in the fans' shoes, is this disrespectful, and how would you have handled it when you paid for these expensive seats and the entertainment of it, of course, and your view was blocked the whole time by one of these coaches?
Very interesting question,
it's a little different,
Katie.
so
I like it. Butch, I'm going to give you first crack. Obviously, you and I and Katie combined probably couldn't afford one of those seats courtside, but I want your thoughts on Katie's topic.
However, I didn't sat in them. I tell you what, they're nice seats too. Fans sometimes don't get the respect in many cases from the players, especially in those two sides of the benches there. Now, in this particular case, the particular coach or clown kind of showed his rear end, and he should have been disciplined by not only the team president, but also general managers and coach. You just can't do that when the fans are asking for some respect. Now, as per the arena and the setup of the arena, that fan deserved a decent unobstructed seat. And in this particular case, I would have been pictured also conditioned to public relations there of the ball club. and maybe asking, being that this particular scene was on television, fans do deserve an unobstructed view of the play. That's what they pay for. Every now and then you'll get other fans standing up in front of them, not to obstruct the view of the game, because majority of the time the seats are leveling up, and that means you're a little bit steppy above the person in front of you, where basically you can see. In this case, those floor seats are all on the same level. Coach stood up and wasn't too respectful to the fans, which again, that incident falls on the arena itself. I was the individual there. I would have been asking for a refund. And in most cases, when at a show, an untasteful conversation comes out of there, that particular person is reached out to by that particular team and given some respect as far as another game to see or some other amenities as well.
Butch, I will go next, and I agree with you. It's funny you bring up that topic, Katie. I mentioned going to the Lake Superior State University men's and women's basketball games. Took my dad there on Saturday, and my dad's having some knee issues right now. He's getting up there in age, so we couldn't really climb up too much on the bleachers, so we sat right behind the Laker bench, about a couple rows up. And as you know, for the men's game, Coach Steve Henniga, he likes to get up a lot and move around, as he should, but we were right behind the bench, so we knew going in that there were going to be times where we're not going to be seeing all the action. And again, nothing against Coach Henniga. I mean, he's coaching. That's what he's supposed to do. So we knew that going in. But going to your topic, I did not see that said event, but I agree with what Butch said. You know, the head coach is the guy that should be jumping up and down and moving around as usually happens. But, you know, these folks are paying some really, really good money. You know, what we may make in a week, a month.
Yeah.
You know, they're paying for these tickets, and I agree with Butch. I mean, this should have been brought to the attention of the the Nets organization, and you know, I agree. I think that, you know, there should be something that is done as far as, you know, having an obstructed view. Reminds me of going to a Detroit Tigers game back in the old days, back at Tiger Stadium, where you would order your tickets, and for those that maybe didn't know the seating charts and didn't know the areas, I'll never forget, we went with my mom and dad's and one of their good friends, and we got our tickets ahead of time, and we had great seats. I think we were in the lower deck right field, and they got a seat right behind a post, and so couldn't see anything.
Oh, wow.
And so that was pretty tough there. But yeah, I agree with what Butch said. You know, this is something where, you know, these people pay a lot of money, and they probably have a lot of money, but they still pay a lot of money to go out and get that. And so I think this coach was a little out of line in this case. Your thoughts, Katie, before we go back to Butch and his topic?
Well, I definitely do agree with both of you. I mean, that's kind of why I asked this question, because I kind of had mixed feelings on it, and I really do like Butch's response. I didn't really think of this when I was writing up this question in my head. The arena, how it was set up. Probably not all of them not every single one is set up that way. That I don't know if he was an assistant coach, or I know there's all different types of titles. There's usually about 6, 7, 8 coaches on staff. So not that he wasn't of any importance to this team, but he was, you know, he wasn't on the main bench line for a reason. And so him being the only one in the way, I'm sure there's other coaches maybe even next to him, and they weren't blocking. It was just the one. But again, you know, he is part of the team, and I could see where he would get frustrated because it would make him look as if he wasn't, you know, just of importance. So, and he wants people to know that he's not just a random fan. But again, you guys are, I believe in what you guys said, and you guys are correct. These people pay lots of money for these tickets.
Butch, let's go to you for any final thoughts, and then we'll get your topic here on the roundtable.
Basically simple. That coach, you know, everybody saw it on TV. And then I'm quite sure local television showed it more than one time. Again, it has to be mindful. The fact that the fans do pay for a heck of a lot of money, if that coach was just being unrally, and it's obvious, then basically it's very simple. They should go ahead on and get their money's worth and have the club get them some, chunk of change and some amenities, some cold ones. The list goes on and on, which they should owe back to those particular people. And also, that coach should be not condemned, but talked to by his upper echelon on how to act and be respectful on that bench. So you can't be helped but seen out there, as I saw this weekend in that particular setting there. What's so much to talk about here? We talk about something. How was the winter meetings? I'll bring that on now. Anybody into the winter meetings and who's going to be moving, who's going to stay? Either one of you.
Butch, I think Katie and I are going to punt on this one. I got to admit, with all the local sports and everything going on in my full-time job, as you know, it's been a hectic time for me. So I have not paid attention to the winter meetings. We'll ask Dave maybe when he comes on. So we're both going to defer to you because I know you've been following it. I know you got a lot to say about the winter meetings. So Butch, your topic is your own. So we'll give you the entire crack on this one.
Crack.
You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, I like the crack here. Oh boy. The biggest major right now in the trades or whatever it may be is right now Billy Hamilton, who used to be with the Cincinnati Reds, very speedy guy, very instilling defensive guy for the Cincinnati Reds, has been traded to Kansas City. That is one of the biggest drills right now. But the biggest talk is basically the Dodgers and the Indians, mainly those two particular teams, talking about Corey Kluber and a trade that may take place within a couple of days and may not. We have not heard of any sightings of Manny Machado, and maybe he's signing up pretty soon, or either Harper, who basically right now, I bet a dozen to a dime of donuts that if he doesn't go to Philadelphia or the West Coast, he'll stay with Washington. It's going to be sticky indeed. The Tigers have not made any noise, but that doesn't mean they won't make a trade. They either may be worth the while for someone to go and see the player play at Comerica Park, or again, another waste of time here of picking up a free agent who absolutely does nothing to spearhead the team to get better there. So, again, it's the first day. I'm quite sure the next 3 or 4 days things are going to be jumping. They definitely normally jump on Thursday or Friday when we see all kind of changes made in that particular there. But I kind of thought I would kind of smooth the rope. I could talk about the WWE, but, I just kind of smoothed the rope with that.
Let's do that right now, Butch. I will save the NFL for when we get Dave McKeag on here. And I know, Katie, you're not a big WWE fan, so do you want to talk wrestling?
No.
All right. Well, Butch and I are going to talk wrestling. Butch, we're getting into the WrestleMania season. Obviously, the next pay-per-view is TLC, and then we're going to have Money in the Bank, and things are going to start to shape up for WrestleMania, which is coming up in April. Lots of things going on in the WWE, as always. So, Butch, I'll go to you first as far as some of the things that you've watched and some of the things that you're thinking before I give my own opinion. So, the state of wrestling in mid-December 2018. Butch Davis, what do you think?
Heath Slater still has a job.
Does, and Rhino doesn't. He's got kids, Butch. You know that.
Whatever came over that one is good. I'm really intrigued by Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins deal here, and I'm quite sure being it's Monday Night Raw's coming on there, they're going to do something really special because I think the gig is next week.
Yep.
In its entirety, Drew McIntyre and also Finn Balor. But again, there's a little squeak in there on his former partner in crime having a fight and under this misunderstanding with him. So
right.
See how that comes into play there, okay? And how some deal is there. And Of course, Daniel Bryan coming to the wild man of Bonio here in SmackDown and doing this thing. I'm, the matches that I really like to be intrigued about, and to me would be the Charlotte Flair and not a soccer, not a Oscar match.
Yeah,
would be something that I'm going to really kind of look forward to seeing there in the near future there. And, Fox, using their football game on Sunday to kind of announce SmackDown's coming to Fox Sports, not Fox Sports, but Fox, the network,
right,
in October. I gave the date, October the 4th, okay? SmackDown will be on Fox here for a whole 2 hours. And sometimes a 3-hour special. That's what was told to me here. I mean, what do you got to say?
Butch, wrestling is something that I've always enjoyed. I'm always going to watch it, despite, some catcalls and my own relationship because I watch it. My kids, they're not into it anymore, but you know what, I am, and I'm always going to follow it because I love the storylines. And I've been a WWE/WWF fan really since the mid to late 1980s when I was introduced to wrestling, WrestleMania 3, which, Butch, you were there, part of the festivities. I was a very young man going to elementary school, and I remember all the talk was WrestleMania 3 with my friends, and it was one of those things where you watched it on Saturday night's main event back in the late early 80s and early 90s where you saw it, you stayed up until 11:30, 12 o'clock to watch some of these matches. And it's something that's always been near and dear to my heart. And, looking at what's going on in the WWE right now, I like the Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins feud. Dean Ambrose definitely very good on the mic, very good in the ring, along with Seth Rollins, to be quite honest. I think that's good. You could see this one coming on. Elias, I'm a big fan of Elias. I've always been a fan, Butch, of those that are good on the mic. Going back to Roddy Piper back on Piper's Pit, I've always just been a fan of people that are very good on the mic. The Rock, Stone Cold, to name a few. But I'm a big fan of Elias. Him now turning face, going against Bobby Lashley. We'll see what happens there, but I'm a big Elias fan. But what I'm really watching is the women's division. I'm watching one individual, Becky Lynch. I am a big fan of Becky Lynch right now, and she has a lot of momentum behind her. Kind of the Stone Cold of the female wrestling genre, if you will. And, I mean, she is just white hot right now with a lot of just fans that just like what she's doing. I like this new Becky Lynch. I like this new kind of attitude era, if you will, kind of just Stone Cold-esque maybe. And so these are some of the things I'm watching. Obviously, we're going to see coming up here in a few months what's going to happen with WrestleMania. Where does John Cena fit in? I mean, obviously Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker. You're probably going to see more coming out with them over the next few weeks, at least into January. So there's a lot of things that still need to happen as far as wrestling because these older, bigger names are still the ones that seem to draw, and these younger ones, Brock Lesnar, it's hard to tell what's going on with him at this point because he's not there very much. But you know what? It's always going to have my attention. I'm always going to like it. And Butch, you and I are pretty good on that. We enjoy the WWE, don't we, Butch?
Oh, yeah, we enjoy it tremendously. I kind of, I'm looking back and seeing some of the wrestlers now that we're not looking at or not seeing, maybe due to injury or something of that nature. Bray Wyatt come to mind right now. Haven't seen him in a good while, but, the WWE got something planned for him, Wild and Wicked. Braun Strowman, you haven't seen him in some weeks due to the fact of the injury that he has sustained. You're kind of looking at it. Is that match still going to take place here, or do they dare cancel it there to do something else and be a half undecent match there? So a lot of intrigue going on there for this week. This is normally the kickoff. And if it's not the kickoff, it's the last straw. I mean, you can live with that TLC and there's normally some good stuff that comes out of it. But the real deal is when the Royal Rumble comes. That's when the countdown starts for WrestleMania to officially kick his heels on it, both on SmackDown as well as Raw, and have at it with some good old-fashioned entertainment there. Who's going to change their skull there? You never know who's going to come out in the bushes there. And kind of look at the surprises that WWE may have in store. Japanese wrestling is taking off very grand, as I had some conversation with some people on the West Coast there. And believe it or not, Japanese wrestling is the next best thing watching. As if you have access, on Access television on Friday nights, that is hot as a firecracker right now. And again, they do come over on the West Coast and invade that particular type of side of the country, not on the East Coast yet, but expect that to happen there. There's a lot of good entertainment, good wrestlers there. WWE may be looking and kind of sniffing around there, and vice versa, because again, AJ Styles and some other wrestlers do come from that particular setup. Finn Balor is another one who comes from that particular setup of Japanese wrestling there. So a lot of changes may be making or becoming that they don't want to talk about, or changes that happen but they're unexplainable. Again, the AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan thing, that leads the pack for that. So kind of getting ready for some greasy wrestling here.
We love it, Butch. We're continuing to be joined by Butch Davis and Katie Wollan, and live radio. We're going to add Dave McKeag to the call right now, so stand by, Butch and Katie. We're going to get the Mr. Electric Avenue on here in a moment.
All righty.
Just waiting for Dave.
Scotty?
Ladies and gentlemen, live on the game, our good friend Dave McKeag, host of the Game Sports Show from about 100 locations in Sault, Ontario, including Northern Superior Brewery, Icebreakers inside the John Rhodes Community Center, Sports Center Bar and Grill, Silver Creek Golf Course. Dave, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, that's a mouthful. That's what that is. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of positive, right? It's good. I'm doing well. I'm currently in my own little area in my apartment here, doing a little bit of taking a break, I should say, rather, from studying for my big exam tomorrow for my night course. So can't say I'm doing perfect, because I'd rather be sitting there with you live on location, Scotty, and all that. But I'm glad to be on air.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back here, Dave, and we're looking forward to you being part of our roundtable as Butch Davis, Katie Wollan, myself, and Dave McKeag joining us here at the Wicked Sister for the second half of the roundtable. Kegger, we'll go to you first. Butch will give you first crack at Dave's topic. Dave McKeag, what would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable?
I'm going to go to the topic that I commonly go to. However, I want to get a wide opinion based on a particular topic in hockey. Okay, now, Butch, yourself, Scotty, and I don't know if Katie can relate to this as much in terms of the sandpaper side of hockey, but, the fighting in the National Hockey League has been a topic of wide discussions. Rather, it's been about a team in particular, like the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins. They're the two different teams where you think they battle in the original 6 team. You think that those teams are just going to rake up the penalty minutes. And back in the early 90s and thousands, that's what was the case in fights. You got teams that were known as being sandpaper teams that aren't fighting a whole bunch. And the National Hockey League has taken a different turn when it's coming to fighting. Okay, and you're beginning to see fighting dwindle out of hockey a little bit, is what I'm very sad to say. And on Saturday night, the Maple Leafs played against the Boston Bruins, and I saw Nazem Kadri decide to throw the mitts against Brandon Carlo. So, you throw a fight like that, it's very exciting to have for hockey. However, the one side of the conversation comes out on sports media where, okay, is fighting still a part of hockey? Should fighting still be a part of hockey? And I want to bring this apart to our table here, have this discussion to see what you think about why fighting has really went down. Do you think fighting should still remain a part of the National Hockey League? And what kind of feeling you get when you see a fight live or on television? I know, Scott, you sent me a video when you saw Detroit live there about a couple weeks ago. So I know fighting must get you all amped up.
Butch, your first thoughts on Dave's, what I think, a very good topic.
It is, because sometimes some of the things that the way the National Hockey League control a fight is unreal, okay? And to me, it's acceptable, okay, in its phase, shape of mind. The portion that I get, okay, when I'm out in the street and I'm talking to other people and media people, some officials that I get every now and then, get to sit on down and have, some dinner with at the table before maybe pregame or something, is that there are more and more parents now who are against the fighting. And normally, what goes on in Major League Hockey normally trickles down to the little tights and whatnot there. And, it's no secret that there are some hockey players who have been drafted, not because maybe they're the best hockey player in town, but they know how to stand up on skates and put somebody down for the count to more or less make a team legible. I don't know. That used to be the time and the place during the Dave Schultz days, the Terry O'Reilly days. That was acceptable then. But nowadays, parents are looking to the fighting of those particular junior leagues and city leagues and rec leagues, and yes, a lot of time in high school now, that there's some altercations that have. Some of them just got plain out of hand, okay? We're not saying that the officials are incapable, but again, when you're coming in there and doing it part-time and you're doing an 8-hour job, and now you got this melee going on where maybe 3, at best you might get 4 officials out there doing the game, but in most cases it's 3, sometimes only 2, okay? That's kind of hard enough to swallow there. So I like the fighting because, again, the National Hockey League official and whatnot keep things in a certain amount of control. Now, I did see the Boston-Toronto match there. Things did get out of hand in there. It seemed like every 15 seconds, somebody was putting the gloves down and just beating each other up. And for whatever it means, that paid off there. Only those particular 2 teams can tell you there. But that would happen. But it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's part of hockey. When it gets too much out of hand, only the National Hockey League knows how to put a settlement to its play. I know Mr. Tom Wilson felt the pain that he couldn't get up and fight this past weekend here, okay? So, again, some things just kind of even out.
Butch, I completely agree with what you just said there, and Dave, great topic. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm not going to say maybe what I should say. I love fighting in hockey. I always have, and I always will. It's a part of hockey, and hockey has evolved. There's a Netflix movie that's very good, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's an hour-and-a-half show that talks about the history of enforcers in professional hockey. And, you go back to when I started really watching hockey back in the mid to late 80s. You had the Detroit Red Wings with Joe Kocur and Bob Probert, 2 of the toughest son of a bitches that ever played hockey. Bob Probert, to this day, will probably be the toughest guy to ever play professional hockey. And just watching that growing up and watching junior hockey here in Sault Ste. Marie, going to see the Sioux Greyhounds back in the early 1990s when they were winning Memorial Cups, and seeing the likes of Chris Simon, who he was a monster out there and played in the NHL, Brian Gowdy, among others. These are guys that had 280 penalty minutes a year, and now you have the highest penalty minutes guy maybe with 70, 80. So I've always been a fan of the fights. I'm not a big fan maybe of the bench-clearing brawls, which we saw a lot of in the 70s and early 80s. Luckily, we haven't seen too many of those. If you want to see a very good bench-clearing brawl, go back to the World Junior Championships I believe it was in the Soviet Union back in, I think, 1987 between Canada and the USSR, back when they were the USSR. That was a pretty good tussle, to say the least. But, you look at the Detroit Red Wings. Butch and I talked about that in the first segment. This is a team that really, over the past 10, 15 years even, maybe 10 years or so, they haven't had a lot of guys that go out there and will throw down. You have the occasional fights here and there, but now you're seeing it a little bit more, and it's one of those things that is a part of hockey. I think that it's a good part of hockey. I'm sure many will disagree with that, but I have not been to many games, if any, where I've seen a fight happen that fans don't get up off of their feet, they don't cheer, they don't love it. And so you know what? You got to give the fans what they want, and you know what? Fighting being what they want, this fan definitely wants fighting, and he has no problem with fighting being a part of hockey. Katie, you want to chime in on this one as far as, from your perspective to Dave's topic before we go back to Dave for his?
Yeah, Scott, I guess I would like to add on to, just as a fan's perspective, kind of touch on what you just said at the end there. Being a fan, I know growing up in a hockey town here in Sault Ste. Marie, that was one of the biggest things as a kid going to the Lake State games and being able to see that. I know we're paying to watch actual skilled hockey players, but then when you see things like that, a fight or a brawl break out, it just adds to the entertainment, and we're getting our money's worth of entertainment, and I just think it's a part of hockey as a sport, and they have that advantage compared to other sports. We can't, in basketball, as you guys know, you can't really knee someone in certain areas,
sure.
And they get suspended, and they have to pay a fee, like thousands and thousands of dollars. So hockey does have a lot of outlets, and I think it's a great part of the sport, and they should keep it going.
All right, Dave, great topic. All of us have chimed in. Your thoughts on your own topic, sir, before we get maybe one or two more.
The show that you were referring to, I believe, Scotty, would have been Ice Guardians on Netflix.
Yes.
And I couldn't agree more with that point. When you said that, I actually didn't even think of that show. I did watch, and it was absolutely fantastic. You have all the enforcers in the National Hockey League that kind of chime in on their on what kind of they had to go through. Like Brian McGrattan, was center stage on a lot of those kind of reactions with that on that show. And I really think that fighting in the National Hockey League is so monitored now. It is so different, and this can even chime back to the point of where when Craig Hartsburg brought it up earlier last week of how the development in youth hockey needs to improve or is different, and the area that it's different, they don't need to improve the area of fighting, but in the area of how it's different is the parent involvement that Butch discussed. That was a very good point, Butch. I must say that it's more of when you used to go to the rink when I was younger. I don't know how much it would have changed since when Scotty was younger, even though you're not that much younger than me, Scotty, and you look a lot younger than I do.
Thank you.
I really think that it used to be the fathers that used to be the loudest at the rink. It used to be the kind of get in the fight in the stands with other fathers about whose kid's better. But now, from what I'm being told, it's the mothers that are definitely issues. And I don't mean to throw mothers under the bus. I love my mother. She's an amazing saint. I give her kudos of how she had to put up with my BS when I was younger growing up with hockey. But the mothers out there now that think that their kids are going to the NHL or that they're imprinting stuff in their minds, or when they yell, "Hey," when there's just one little hit on the boards because it's too hard. I love it now. I one time was at the rink and I saw a mother yelling. A father actually got out of the stands and went outside to have a cigarette. So I purposely followed the guy outside, not to have a cigarette, but just to try to see if I could chime conversation. I was walking my vehicle and I was leaving the pro shop. And he said, I couldn't handle being near my wife anymore, man. So, it used to be the other way around where the mothers had to go outside and take up smoking because of their husbands. So my whole point of saying that is with the youth point is that fighting and hitting is not introduced or as taught as much as it should be. I remember getting taught how to hit in novice, okay? Hitting doesn't happen until Pee-wee now, from what I understand. So hitting, that has changed, and they're taught at a later age, which is scary because when you're in Pee-wee, you're not small. You're not really that small anymore. You're over 130 pounds in most males. I think the average weight is 115 to 130 for the ages in Pee-wee, even 140. He's got some kids that don't know how to hit that are hitting against the boards. So what they do when they're younger, they take up football instead. Okay, which pulls them away from hockey because they enjoy the football more. So I know I'm kind of bouncing around there, but my whole point is that with the youth development, that's one thing that to target is hitting and how to properly hit, to be groomed and be put up and be able to play in those type of games, because fighting has to be a part of the National Hockey League, has to be a part of the minor hockey in terms of junior, major junior, or any kind of such a semi-professional hockey. Fighting is a part and what's like Katie just said, chiming into what you said, the entertainment aspect. It's put butts in the seats, and it's great to watch. Yes, I love watching Connor McDavid to skate at the speed of light to get goals, or Kasperi Kapanen, or Austin Matthews dangle, or Mitch Marner's out there that actually have a chance to make the National Hockey League now, where back before, when you saw a Steve Sullivan or a Mitch Marner, you had Scott Stevens licking their chops. Okay, let's look at Paul Correa, what happened to him in the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah, he came back to play, but the hitting, it all starts with the hitting going down that's bringing the fighting down, because the hitting is what sparked those fightings, those battles in front of the net, those battles after the whistle. That big open ice hit, when you used to give somebody an open ice hit, you used to not go 2 strides without getting jumped by a guy. And that's not what they want to promote, is the jumping and all the violence. But fighting needs to be a part of the National Hockey League, because it is what sparks entertainment. It's a part of the game. And also, you know what? It also swings momentum. It's a big momentum shifter, where if you're down 3 goals in the third period and you have one of your third, fourth line guys that are fighters, or even your first line guy drop the mitts and fight, yes, it's not protective. They might break their hand. They might hurt something. Concussions are an issue now, and we can expand to a lot more things. But at the end of the day, it sparks your team and it sparks the fans. You have to keep fighting in the National Hockey League.
Dave McKeag, Butch Davis, Katie Wollan, Scott Nason broadcasting here from the Wicked Sister on this Monday night. Let's continue with at least one, possibly 2 more topics. I'm going to throw one out there. Butch, I'll give you first crack, and then Katie, and then Dave. Talking about the NFL, Butch and I talked about the Lions. We really haven't covered much about what else has gone on in the world of the National Football League, as we're only 3 weeks from the end of the regular season, and, still lots to sort out in the NFL. We saw some interesting matchups yesterday and over the weeks 14. Kansas City survives against Baltimore. The Rams lose at Chicago. Pittsburgh losing at Oakland. Some surprising results, and a wild finish in Miami, with Miami edging out New England. Butch, I'll go to you first as far as Week 14 in the NFL, some of the things that you watch and some of the things that you're looking for. Then Dave, and then Katie.
Yeah, E.J. Russell must be really sick. We can't get on tonight to talk about Cleveland here, I tell you. But that was a major victory for Cleveland, and a knife stuck in the back of Carolina there. Again, Atlanta could have kind of helped themselves with Green Bay, but they didn't. And Green Bay's still in the march for a playoff position. Indianapolis came in there and beat up on Houston there. I didn't expect that there, and no one did here. But and then you look at teams like Tennessee, who are getting their breath cleared on up here, and doing pretty doggone well indeed in the final weeks of the season there. But and then, of course, we got to look at New England and that lovely win that they just blew away from yesterday. I'm still laughing at that one there. You know, that's one of those games that you say, what happened? You know?
Right. What happened?
Scratching your head and all this other stuff. Where did we go wrong? You know, Pittsburgh, the same thing with the kicker sliding on the ground and whatnot there. Seemed like an easy field goal to put the game away, and he's skidded like no tomorrow. Poor man here, you know, I bet you can't come outside for weeks here. You know, it's pretty kind of wicked there. And the teams that are still available for playoff action there, Tennessee, let's see, Indianapolis, that's another team in there, still in there. The Ravens are still in there. These all got similar records and whatnot there. So it's not mistakable that 10 wins may not get you in the playoffs this year. As I said before, 10 wins normally is the medium you can get in the playoffs. But this year you may not see teams get in because it's so close in the AFC. Now for the NFC, that's another bag of tricks here with Dallas doing what they're doing there. They're about going away, and the Eagles got blown away yesterday there. You can about say forget about it. Chicago Bears showed the Rams that they ain't scared of them. And New England, New Orleans, I should say here, they got things all settled up. Carolina is not going to overtake them as such there. Seattle is still in the race there, and I think they're going to get in the playoffs. For sure there, but they got to kind of win out in order to do that there. But it's getting a lot of excitement in there in the NFL right now here. Then now you can kind of picture of who's in and who's out and who to waste your time in. And, of course, the old Detroit Lions are 5-8.
Yes, they are, Butch. Yes, they are. Katie, we'll go to you before we go to Dave. Hey, the Packers still alive. New coach, better result. What's your thoughts on the NFL?
So, Scott, I did watch the game, but also didn't because I was actually kind of busy putting up some Christmas lights with my dad. But
Very good.
I was keeping tabs on the game, and, they won 34-20, so I was very happy with that. And, we're still kind of touchy-feely on the Mike McCarthy firing, but
did him wrong.
Yeah,
should have waited.
But still a great win for the Packers. I'm sure everyone is absolutely thrilled. Great performance by Randall Cobb. And I just kind of wanted to touch on the Detroit Lions for their win. I'm sure you're excited, Scott.
Thrilled. I love falling down the draft board. It's a great win.
It was a very boring game, though. It was like 3-0. Hard to watch, but I'm glad that they won that, especially because my mom's a big fan of the Detroit Lions.
God bless her.
They are my second favorite team. Packers just happened to work out that way. But obviously, big Detroit fan for all sports. And then and then also the Eagles versus the Cowboys. I was kind of pulling for the Eagles because they were the Super Bowl champs last year, and they had that tied 23-23 and went to overtime, and they just couldn't pull it out. So I was kind of disappointed in that against the Cowboys. And then just an added thing to the Packers, I think I did read or listen to that they do have a chance to still be a wild card.
Oh, still alive. Lions are even still alive.
I think do they have to win every
game? They pretty much have to win out. They're 5-7-1, so they'd have to really be 8-7-1 and get a lot of help.
Yeah, so excited to see what the next few weeks brings.
Dave McKeag, your Pittsburgh Steelers go to Oakland, who had no reason to win that game due to draft position, but they do. Your thoughts on that game in the NFL heading into the home stretch here in the next few weeks?
Well, obviously the big issue concerns Ben Roethlisberger's health, and that's when the Steelers are now 7-5-1, okay, and they've lost a couple in a row and games that they've let slip away. When you want to even look back to when they played the Chargers last week prior to this one, they had a big lead, and the Chargers battled back. Now, in their division, if you want to go look at their division, they are currently still, on top of the division right now, just barely holding on. They've actually lost 3 in a row to be exact, and the Ravens now are 7-6. It's a good thing that the Kansas City Chiefs were able to defeat the Ravens, or else maybe having a little bit of a different discussion right now. It's the Ravens are very much alive. The Steelers losing 3 in a row is big, and Ben Roethlisberger's health is what a concern is going down the stretch here. Having Joshua Dobbs throw the football is not going to give us any success or make things any easier. You have Antonio Brown, who only caught for 35 yards. When I've said this countless times, Juju Smith-Schuster is a fantastic receiver, but when Antonio Brown is not on his game, then there's no chance for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jalen Samuels had more catches than Antonio Brown did, and everyone says, who? Jalen Samuels. Yeah. So I will say again, that was an embarrassment of a game for the Steelers yesterday, but you got to give credit to Oakland. All right, they came out in the first quarter, they had a lead early, and then in the fourth quarter they outscored Pittsburgh by a touchdown to get the win. And obviously going down at the final play there was kind of how the game ended, and that was a typical type of Steeler game when they're playing a team that's worse than them. When they played Cleveland, they played the same way, and Cleveland's actually not that much worse than them this year. So at the end of the day, Pittsburgh's game was very sad and very painful to watch. I actually, after the game was over, I was doing some work at the time, and when I turned it off, I was speechless. I couldn't believe it, and how they're almost letting the season slip away. They got a couple weeks left. They have to smarten up, or they might be putting themselves in a position where they're in the wild card spot or even not making the playoffs if they keep playing this way. So, you still got some time here to bounce this around, but the big issue is Ben Roethlisberger's health. You have to make sure that he's ready to go for them to be successful. But the other games, I love the ending to New England and Miami's game. On our Wednesday show at SportsCenter, I was very, very hard chosen when I said that New England would defeat Miami, but I did say that Miami I wanted to pick because they have New England's number. They're always there. They're 6-1 at home this year, Miami. They're 1-5 away. So, when you have New England, they're undefeated at home, and away they're 3-4. So both teams that aren't that good on the road, and that play at the end was fantastic, Scotty. That lateral, and with Drake running that in, and his tweet today about offering a jersey and tickets just to try to get the ball back. That's stuff that you look at and say that's why you love the game of football. And I love seeing when New England goes down to teams that are below them in a little bit of the standings. Patrick Mahomes played his best game of the season, I really think, against the Ravens. I know that he's thrown more yardage in terms of a game, but at the end of the day, when I was watching some points that he had against Baltimore, it was ultimately that he was a good professor of the football, is a term that I always love to use. And just overall, he was a leader on that field, I feel, for Kansas City. 377 yards, 53 attempts, 2 touchdowns, fantastic, right? It's the type of week for Patrick Mahomes that's been typical all year. The Giants, they're alive. If you're a Giants fan, these guys are not completely out of it from what I understand. And Eli Manning, even though he didn't throw 200 yards basically, but 3 touchdowns, and Saquon Barkley looks like an absolute truck. So a lot of excitement there if you're a Giants fan. And lastly, the Saints, they take over first in the National Football League, and the Cowboys getting a big win over the Eagles. The Cowboys are looking for real. The Eagles are starting to lose their chances, and the Cowboys are coming up hot when they're supposed to. And the Bears beating the Rams. That's another surprise. And to ultimately end my point, the surprise NFL season that we call the 2018-2019 year is full of surprises. Teams are playing hot, and it's all going to come down to the last couple games here. The last game of the week. The last week of the season, is where the playoff picture is going to finally be determined, I think.
Very good, Dave. I'll chime in on my thoughts before we get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. First of all, the big game going on in Seattle tonight, Monday Night Football, playoff implications all over the place. Minnesota taking on Seattle. Minnesota 6-5-1, Seattle 7-5. Always a tough place to play out there. I still like Minnesota in this one. I'm not quite sure how good Seattle is, but this is going to be a big test for Minnesota. It looks like the division might be out of their reach with the Bears beating the Rams and going to 9-5. So this is a big game for both teams. I like Minnesota in this one. Going back to some of the other games maybe we didn't talk about too much. Butch touched on Tennessee and Jacksonville. How about Derrick Henry? Roll Tide, baby. Derrick Henry sitting on my fantasy football bench, I might add. 4 touchdowns, including a 99-yarder to match Tony Dorsett's record for the longest run in NFL history. Butch mentioned the Cleveland game. How about Cleveland? 5-7-1. They have a chance to finish above 500. Baker Mayfield looking very good out there along with Nick Chubb. Very good draft picks for the Cleveland Browns. I figured Houston was probably going to lose at some point. I didn't expect them really to lose to Indianapolis, a team that hadn't scored any points at Jacksonville, but Indianapolis gets a big win. Dave mentioned Kansas City. It wasn't pretty, but I agree. I think that was one of Patrick Mahomes' best games going against the NFL's best defense at that point. Kansas City continues to roll, but again, they're being challenged by a team that's just kind of going under the radar a little bit in the Los Angeles Chargers, 10-3 on the season as they defeat Cincinnati by the score of 26-21. I didn't realize, and this has nothing to do with football, but Phillip Rivers, the quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, his wife's expecting their 9th child, Katie. 9. They have 7 girls and 2 boys. Yeah, beautiful looking family there. That's beside the point. Talking about the Chargers, watch out for that Chargers team. I really like them. San Francisco beating Denver. That one. How about Kittle? 200 some odd yards in the first half. It looked like he was a shoo-in to break the best game for a tight end, but he had no catches in the second half. Again, not helping my fantasy football. And looking at that Philadelphia-Dallas game, I'm not a big Carson Wentz fan. I mean, you look at the guy that won them the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles, he's still sitting on the bench. And I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is the reason the Eagles are 6-7, but I don't know. Maybe he's not the guy that a lot of people thought. Dallas was 3-5. They won 5 straight. They're now 8-5. They have a virtual lock on the NFC. And then Dave mentioned Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky back. That defense shut down a very good offense. The Los Angeles Rams winning by the score of 15-6. So the playoff picture is shaping up. Looking at the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to win the NFC East. Looks like Chicago's going to win the NFC North. New Orleans, they're going to win the NFC South. The Rams, they're going to win the NFC West. So you're looking at wild cards in the NFC. Right now, the wild card spots are Seattle and Minnesota. And those two teams play each other. You have Carolina, Philadelphia, Washington. Washington's done, by the way, at 6-7. So looks like the winner of the game tonight will have a very good chance at the wild card. In the AFC, New England, they're more than likely going to win that division. Miami still has hope. The AFC North still up for grabs between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. AFC South, I would say Houston's probably going to win that. They have a 2-game lead over Indianapolis and Tennessee. Then you have the AFC West. So you're going to get 2 teams in the playoffs, the Chiefs and the Chargers. They still have to play each other one more time. I would expect the Chiefs will probably win that division. Then you look at the AFC wild card. You have the Chargers and Baltimore in there, but you have a bunch of 6-7 and 7-6 teams. Baltimore, Miami, Indianapolis, Tennessee, all 7-6. So it's going to go down to the last week, and it's going to be very exciting to see what happens in the National Football League. Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down, lady and gentlemen. Katie, we'll start with you and then go to Butch, Dave, and myself. So, Katie Wollan, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week.
All right, Scott, my thumbs up for the week is going to go to, correct me if I do pronounce his name wrong. I believe it's Luka Doncic,
very good.
The Dallas Mavericks, professional ball club, of course, for not only putting on a show in the fourth quarter against the Houston Rockets with consistent shooting, but he led the Mavericks to a win against them, the final being 107-104. The Mavericks were trailing by 102-94 with only 3 minutes left. Not a lot of time, and Luka scored 11 points in less than 2 minutes.
Wow.
And with a beautiful, smooth, I don't know if you saw the replay, 26-foot step-back three-pointer right in Clint Capella's face. So
I can't do that.
That was exciting, too.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the game, but, of course, I got to see all the highlights, so that was awesome. And being 19 years old, just an unbelievable talent, very composed. Might be Rookie of the Year candidate along with Ben Simmons for the 2018-19 season, if you got my joke there, Scott and Butch.
Good call. I like it.
And then my thumbs down, I have to give my thumbs down of the week to the Pistons. I know you and Butch talked about in the first hour, Butch on Sports. Last week we were talking about how impressed we were with them being on a 5-0 streak, and now this past week being on a 4-game losing streak, and all at home. I believe they're all games at home. I've noticed that a lot this year, that the Pistons will go on streaks, a winning streak and then a losing streak and then another winning streak and a losing streak, another losing streak. So something that needs to be addressed by Coach Dwayne Casey so that they can remain more consistent throughout the season. We know that they won't win every game, but something needs to be done so they're not going on all these losing streaks so often.
It could be a 5-game losing streak. They're losing by 11 at Philadelphia right now as we record this show on a Monday night. Let's go to Butch Davis. Butch, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
And it don't look good either here. I tell you right now, Philly's getting warmed up here. Yes, they are. They're getting really warmed up. Oh, boy. I lost train of thought of who I'm going to give who, what, when, why, and how. I really did here, man. The Heisman Trophy, thumbs down for that there. 2 years in a row, Oklahoma? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why the guy from, I hate to say it, Alabama didn't get more consideration than what he got there. Of course, when you play teams like the Citadel or whatnot, what can you do? Thumbs down for that one there. That was I don't know. I'm not in love with the Heisman no more. Like, if you heard on Butch On Sports, I said it's got to be, we got to have some linemen or something there. Somebody just mow the place away. Thumbs up. some good football this weekend here. I have to get thumbs up to the NFL here for having some decent football this week. I didn't believe it, but it was there.
Let's go to Dave McKeag for his thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. Kegger, what you got, sir?
I'll say that one thing I want to go thumbs down first is to William Nylander and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to be the William Nylander hate train all year until he earns his keep. Ever since he was in the lineup, they're 0-2. One loss being overtime to Detroit. Well played game by Detroit, though I will say I'll give credit where it's due. But at the end of the day, William Nylander, I know someone's just getting started. But, he came back. He had comments like this, Scott. He said, I'm ready. I'm mid-season form. And he also said that Kyle Dubas told him that he would never trade him, which is another no-no in hockey. So, ever since he's come back, it seems like a lot of things have shifted. The Leafs in general, Hyman's out for 2 games suspended for his actions against Boston. This team needs defense. And you know what? There's a rumor about Toronto aggressively going after Alex Pietrangelo off St. Louis, which is very interesting, whom just who's the captain of that team, and on his team, on his own watch, there was players that got in a fight at practice. So there's a lot of leadership issues with the St. Louis Blues. So that'd be interesting to see. But all in all, Toronto, the last couple games, thumbs down. Haven't been playing well defensively. And Nylander is on my hate train watch. I know you don't like that word, Scotty, but you know what? I just not impressed with what he has brought to the table thus far. But I'm going to go to the thumbs up, obviously, because I like, obviously, things to be positive. Butch, I kind of want to stick with your thumbs up, if that is okay. I love the National Football League as excitement of this past week. It is always just amazing to watch. This season's just been something that's been enjoyed. It's never been a game where somebody just absolutely gets blown out because they're expected to. If someone gets blown out, it's because they're unexpected to. I feel like this season has been full of surprises, unless you're a Lions fan. Sorry, Scott and Butch. But at the end of the day, it's been a very exciting National Football League, and Butch, I could not agree more to how exciting that has been this year for the National Football League. And you know what? Let's do it to the Game Sports Show. Another thumbs up. And to all of our sponsors, the whole team that we have on board here. Things are going great. And as Scott said when he introduced me to the show, when I was formerly late coming on the air today, about the shows that we have coming up and all the sponsors that we have and all the work that we have. And we've actually made with Northern Superior and the Wicked Sister being strong sponsors with us, and Sports Center Bar and Grill and all the other sponsors, without the use of our sponsors and our great staff here that we have on the Game Sports Show, whom we've now welcomed Craig Hartsburg to our panel. Yes. It continues to grow. It's been absolutely fantastic, and you got to give credit where it's due. Like I said, to where I said Detroit at the beginning of my point, I'll end it with that same point, to the Game Sports Show and our sponsors.
Well said, Dave McKeag. We'll get to my thumbs up and thumbs down before we go around the horn one more time. Thumbs up to my cousin, Jake Sutherland. He is a graduate of Ortonville, Michigan. He played his college football at Moorhead State, and he has just signed a professional football contract, with a brand new league, the AAF, which is the football league that is starting very soon. Next year, as a matter of fact, the Alliance of American Football. He just signed as a tight end with the Atlanta Legends. So very excited for my cousin, Jake. First cousin, my Uncle Bob, very proud of that. So, Jake, we're going to get him on the show here coming up soon. He's going to be playing some professional football coming next year. So very excited about that. Way to go, cousin Jake. Thumbs down to these idiots. And I'm just going to say idiots. We haven't talked much about soccer here on the show. My Chelsea team that I support in the Premier League had a big win over Manchester City at Stamford Bridge by the score of 2-0, but it was overshadowed by a bunch of idiots. 4 fans, as a matter of fact, that spewed some racist abuse against one of the Manchester City players, Raheem Sterling. The Chelsea Football Club has responded correctly, in my ad, by banning these idiots from the matches while this investigation is going on. I'm not even going to say what these morons said, but it's just another example of just stupidity in general, not just in the world of sports, but just in the world in general. Ruining a great win by Chelsea, taking on a Manchester City team that has not lost at all until this Saturday. And these idiots overshadow things by subjecting Mr. Sterling to abuse of a racist nature. Enough is enough. People just need to just figure. I almost cursed there because it makes me so upset.
I was waiting for it.
Enough is enough. These idiots need to be banned from Stamford Bridge forever. Never to get a ticket in Chelsea. Go somewhere else with your nonsense, idiots. That's what I got to see, Katie. Your thoughts, Katie, as far as, I should say not your thoughts, but what's ahead for you this week? I know we got some high school basketball coming up. What's going up on the Eagle?
On the Eagle, well, I actually came into this broadcast.
You had
got
some
really,
news.
really excited because, it does pertain to the Eagle. So before I got here, I got an email around 5:30ish saying that it's already a client of ours, and I knew they had a tight budget going into the new year, so they decided to triple the budget they have with us now and completely go with our radio station and only our radio station.
Wow.
So I'm very excited with that and the trust that they have in Eagle Radio 95.1 along with Straits Country 97.7 and then Travis Samberas, who was Eagle 96.7. It's now Flash 96.7.
After his beautiful puppy.
After his, adorable black lab. And that's even the logo is his black lab. So Flash 96.7. And he also still has the same format, kind of classic hits, but also just hits in general. So very happy with all that, Scott. Thank you for asking.
Very good. Let's go to Butch Davis. Butch, what's on deck for you as far as Butch on Sports and things going on this week, sir?
Oh, while you were talking about soccer, I forgot. Boy, congratulations to Atlanta here.
Yes.
2 years. They are the champs of the United States Soccer League or
MLS.
whatever you want to call it.
Big crowd that game, Butch. What, 71,000?
78,000.
Wow.
78,000 people and some change came to that particular.
Eastern Ontario right there.
Oh, man. Yes.
Dave, let's go. Butch, what do you have on store this week as far as Butch on Sports and games you're going to cover?
Whatever it meant. I don't know. What the heck am I going to cover? Oh, we will cover that soccer game this week. And we also will talk about the status of the city of Detroit getting a soccer team there. One of the more complex stadiums you ever want to see, if you got to see that soccer game and the football game, is the Atlanta Stadium there, that the ceiling opens up, okay? They had natural grass down there so they can play, and it was a festive-looking atmosphere there, although the dome was closed due to inclement weather outside there. It seemed like everybody who got there had a great time, and again, congratulations to them. We'll be doing some high school stuff, at least this week, talking about a couple of teams in general here, and also the statute of some teams not pulling it together and bringing other sports in their gym. And for the next couple of weeks there, I'm gonna go to some high schools there and ask them what their status is in improving their sports there. Especially the girls get always shut out in particular sports of liking there. I looked at the amount of high schools that have Olympic-sized pools, but yet still does not have a girls or boys swimming team at all. So we're going to look at that this week and the next couple of weeks there.
Butch, we appreciate you joining us on the game. We'll talk to you on our next edition.
All right.
Dave McKeag, let's get to you finally here. I know you got a very busy schedule as far as the Game Sports Show from various locations. Give us a preview this week of where you can find the show and what's going on.
Always seems to be a busy week, but it's fun and we enjoy it. I'd be absolutely stupid before I jump to that point to mention that Eagle 95.1 is the big sponsor with the show as well. I don't know why I forgot to mention them in my spiel. But moving from what we're doing this week, Scotty, last night we did not have a show at Icebreakers, obviously due to myself having my own hockey commitments. So we're going to be rescheduling that show till tomorrow night after my exam to go over to Icebreakers to do a quick and dirty show, as we like to call it, with head coach John Parko of the Sioux Thunderbirds and also Brad Kochmiller, hopefully live on location as well. We're going to recap this past weekend with Sault Ste. Marie Ontario sports and also with the Sioux Eagles. And then on Wednesday, we will be at Sports Center Bar and Grill, myself, Jamie, and also Matt Primo. And I've been finally confirmed that Intercontinental Inch will be finally on this Wednesday. So we'll be covering football and covering some basketball along with some WWE news on the Wednesday show. And then Thursday, we will be at Northern Superior Brewing Company, and that'll be at 6 o'clock this week. This is the early week, so we're going to be talking about the local sports, professional sports roundup with me, Dane, and Justin. And then this Sunday, we're going to plan a show, be our last show before Christmas at Icebreakers, that we plan to do a show on Sunday. And then when that's done, Scott, the Game Sports Show here in Sioux, Ontario, will actually be off until January 2nd. So this will be the last week until we're back up January 2nd. We might do some bonus uploads with Craig Hartsburg as he may, or if there's when the Hounds play on the 28th. But for now, all I can say is from after this week, we'll be off from the 16th until the 2nd of January.
Dave, appreciate you joining us here on the game. Busted luck on your exam tomorrow. We'll talk to you here in the new year, 2019, on the game.
I'm very excited for that, Scott. Going to be a good year in 2019, especially for Toronto sports. Thank you to you, Scott, Butch, Katie, and obviously to all of our sponsors and obviously to the Wicked Sister. Sorry that I couldn't make it live there, but I will make sure in the new year that since school will be drilling down that I'll be there much more live on location.
Sounds good. Want to thank Dave McKeag, Butch Davis, Katie Wollan, and our broadcast engineer, Dallas Miller. I want to thank our guests, including Rob Gallinger, head coach of the Lake Superior State University track and field team, and Jeff Hagan, one of the board members of the Superior new volleyball AAU team here locally, and our broadcast engineer, Dallas Miller. We'll talk to you next time for another edition of the game here on Eagle 95.1.